So 9 months ago, a Reddit user by the name of Mike and Canoose posted this image to the Minecraft subreddit, titled, "There are already as many as 16 types of bricks in Minecraft today." Smiley face. The comments were on board with this. They loved it. They, first pointed out that he might have forgotten mud bricks, but besides that, they were all in unison behind this idea that there should be more bricks into the game. And that got me thinking, more bricks. Although I don't think they were talking about bricks when they said bricks. Even though the simple name in Minecraft for bricks made out of clay, just simply bricks, it's not good enough. Thing is, in brick masonry construction in real life, there are a plethora of different types of brick bonds, all using what Minecraft simply lists as bricks. Not to mention, the brick item in the game only has 3 uses after all this time, being flower pot, the brand new decorated pot, and of course our brick block that we're talking about right now. The brick block itself has been in Minecraft since Java Edition Classic, which came out 14 years ago. And it really has not changed. It got some stairs, it got some slabs, and a wall, but it kind of feels like Mojang hates bricks, or at least hates bricks. Honestly, thinking this over, it's kept me up at night. I gotta figure out why on earth is this? Why does stone and quartz and deep slate and all these other non-brick bricks get their own bricks, but bricks doesn't get more bricks? Kind of feel bad for bricks. If it wasn't for using granite and terracotta ingredients on builds, honestly, this texture would kind of be completely alone. And I feel like it already is. A lot of people just ignore it altogether. And when you do use it, it's kind of like an accent piece. But that's not exactly how bricks are used in real life. I mean, there are tremendous amounts of buildings in major cities all the way to small towns that use bricks and brick detailing in such a wide range of uses, and I love bricks. What can I say? I think bricks are great. If you can't tell by the amount of times I've said bricks in this episode so far, I think we ought to give it some more use, at least building wise, because that's what the main post of this video was directed at, and I think we could target that. So I got a couple ideas. Let's fix bricks with a kiln, some new brick styles, and our very own see-through wall. Alright, so let's get into the game and check out what I've been able to come up with. So first of all, behind me we have bricks as they currently are in game. You end up with a block, you end up with a wall, slabs, stairs, all the basic stuff. So first of all, I'd like to add in both the mossy and the cracked versions of our typical bricks, as I believe it will give a lot more detail in the sort of weathering and the equality between stone brick and brick. After all, these are bricks. They should have everything else that stone bricks and such do have in the game. I'm actually quite a big fan of this mossy texture. The cracked, I think, is a little bit different, but I think if you play around with it and you use it kind of sparingly, it's fine. Whereas I really think this texture with the mossy on top of the typical bricks, I think really stands out and pops. And when we combine it over here with the other variants of our normal bricks with cracked bricks and then throw some leaves and vines, I think you really get something cool here. And this is placed over top of the mossy. I really like kind of how that green shows through there. I think it's pretty successful. Up next, we look at different kind of brick bonds, which are the different brick styles. And just for a little bit of terminology here, so the ones that run perpendicular to us long ways, these are called stretcher bricks. And then the shorter ones that would be facing us, so going away from the player, these are called headers. So the first brick here is the running bond. This is the Minecraft default brick texture, and it just has the alternating bricks that run midway through each layer. You have one over top of another one. Very common stuff. Moving over next is the English bond here, which you end up with stretcher bricks on one layer all the way across every layer below. So alternating downward, you get 3 header bricks within a block. Next up, we have the Flemish bricks, which are alternating header, stretcher, again and again, each layer, again and again. I'm kind of a big fan of how this one turned out. I think the English brick, I need to adjust the texture here so you don't get these vertical lines, but I think for the Flemish, I had quite some success. Next up, speaking of vertical lines, we end up with the stacked bricks, which are just a bunch of stretchers placed directly on top of each other all the way up. One of my favorites, the soldier course brick here, which are vertically placed stretchers. I'm sure there's an actual name for that. I think it's just, hold on. No, it's just soldier course. So the soldier bonds here here mean that bricks are stood up on top of each other like so you get the same effect of the vertical and horizontal grid that you do with stacked, but this time it's vertical. I really love soldier cores. Next up, we have basically what are extra large bricks. They kind of function more as CMUs, and this is the default stone brick texture with brick itself placed over top. Next up were a couple fun ones. We have the diagonal ones, and then next to it the herringbone. So the herringbone, you kind of get this little V shape in. I think it's really good for floors and some impress detail work as well. Diagonal, maybe use it a bit more sparingly. Still, two great textures that I'm a fan of. Moving on to the stair and slab variants, I think the one that I really wanted to implement most of all was soldier bond, because I think having the vertical bricks take up exactly half a block. When you're with stairs, you have one set of bricks here, one set of bricks above, and likewise with the slabs there. It seems as maybe a little bit of a topper for the wall here, I think is something pretty valuable. Mixing in some of the mossy, I think is another really cool thing. Next up, we have what I think is a really kind of groundbreaking concept, the idea of these perforated brick walls. So to allow light in through a wall, and as you can see how the bounding boxes are, they do allow you to kind of punch through these. It's both a translucent block, but also a block almost more similar to fence rather than walls where there is openings in them. And I think just having a block like this that allows in light would be really cool. And while we're here, I want to demonstrate something that I think is really funny. In supplementaries, which I always bring up because I think using supplementaries alongside my mod is kind of a necessity here, you can throw bricks and they go flying. So one of the things I wanted to implement into my mod was going to be a stack of bricks, so you could just right click on the ground and it would start piling them. Then I realized supplementaries has this really cool brick throwing feature, and I thought, nope, we're going to keep that in. So that's what we're doing there. Next up, the default Minecraft flower pot just seems a little basic and boring, especially with the new pots, the decorated pots that were added in the Trails and Tales update. So I thought, why not allow the flower pot itself to have a little bit of variety? Let's add in some colors. So going with the 16 colors that are in Minecraft as is, I thought adding in a flower pot for each of these, and they can obviously just take the flower pot itself with a single dye. Really liked how the black one turned out. So it's not entirely black because I'm using an overlay onto the default Minecraft flower pot texture. That way you get this little gradient in the texture itself so that it's not just a box that is a single bright color. As a result, using that, you kind of get some of this brick texture. And so very similar to how terracotta works, where some of that kind of reddish hue is brought through and it almost feels more brown than it is black, but the brown one is even more brown. So next up is the brick kiln, and the brick kiln here is going to function very similar to how a blast furnace or smoker works for metals and food respectively, and then this will come in more in place of masonry items. So with our guy here, we open it up, we chuck in some clay balls, chuck in its source of fuel, and I still need to do some work here because there's no texture and it just kind of doesn't work. But imagine that the clay ball gets smelted twice as fast as it typically would in an average furnace, hence the reason that you'll need this. And this can be crafted in a very similar way to a furnace, just with bricks all around instead of cobblestone. Last but not least, incorporating a new villager type who is currently facing away from me. Sir? There you are. Okay, so as you can see, it is very similar to the mason itself, but this guy, our brick mason, his job site will be a kiln rather than a stone cutter. And then as you can see, his tools have slightly changed. So going from a mallet and circle to a couple trowels, can lay some bricks for us. We have like the pointing one and then the more typical one. That one does look like this mallet here on the stonemason, but I can promise you if you removed his arms in a non-violent way, it's a triangular shape. And of course, his residence will be with the brick kiln, so that's how you'll get these guys to spawn in. But thank you guys so very much for watching. If you did enjoy today's episode, please be sure to leave a like, comment down below to like to see next. And maybe I can get around to including some more of your guys' ideas. It's been absolutely a tremendous response thus far, and I hope that continues because I'm very excited about this all. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.